We will call the December 20th Common Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Here.
Lorik.
Here.
Dukniak.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Guzekowski.
Everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ethan, would you start us off, please? Thank you very much for that, Ethan. Approval of minutes of 12/6/2022, if everybody take a moment. Satisfied there's no discussions, corrections, omissions, we'll entertain a motion.
Lorik moves to approve the minutes of 12/6/2022.
Dukniak, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Dukniak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Abstain.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Abstains.
And item 4 is a public hearing to consider an amendment to the comprehensive plan of the city of Oak Creek as it relates to the properties at 112, 120, 124, and 140 East Rawson. Krista, when you're ready, would you please read that into record?
Public hearing number 1 is to consider an amendment to the comprehensive plan, the City of Oak Creek, adopted March 3rd, 2020, last amended August 16, 2022, as it relates to the properties at 112, 120, 124, and 140 East Rawson Avenue. The applicant is Kristen Parks, St. John Properties, and City of Oak Creek. The property owner is LOV LLC, NG Service Inc., East Rawson Avenue LLC. There follows the legal description, and the date of the notice is November 9th, 2022.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Doug Seymour. I am the Director of Community Development for the City of Oak Creek, and this is a public hearing on a request to amend the comprehensive plan, originally for the property at 140 East Rawson Avenue, but as you'll learn as we go through the presentation, it's been expanded to include a few additional properties at 112, 120, and 124 East Rawson Avenue. So the property at 140 East Rawson Avenue was a kind of a flex industrial property, multi-building flex industrial property that was developed by St. John Properties. And at that point in time, the underlying zoning was, and still it was M1 manufacturing. And they proceeded to develop the property under those terms. What they were finding is that a lot of the tenants that they were seeing in the marketplace had more commercial type uses, and the Plan Commission and the council, in fact, were granting a lot of conditional use permits for more commercial or service type businesses. For instance, there's a laboratory there. There's some education components in there. So, in working with the applicant, staff suggested, and the applicant concurred, that perhaps it'd be easier moving forward and probably more transparent moving forward if the property was zoned and shown as commercial in the comprehensive plan. So this first step in the process would to amend the comprehensive plan from its current configuration as manufacturing or industrial to planned business, and that's what this public hearing is about. And as you know, while the request again was for the St. John Properties, there are 3 additional properties west of that to the corner of Rawson Avenue and Howell Avenue that really don't set themselves up for manufacturing at all. They're small, and more likely and more appropriately would also fall under that commercial designation. So the Plan Commission, in their consideration of the original request, did in fact recommend the inclusion of these additional properties at the northeast intersection of Howell Avenue and Rawson Avenue. So with that, this is a public hearing. We're asking if there's any questions or comments regarding the proposal to amend the comprehensive plan for the properties at 140 East Rawson Avenue, as well as 112, 120, and 124. So please approach the podium, give your name and address, and proceed to address the council with your questions or comments. This public hearing is now open.
Thank you, Doug. And as Doug said, we will make 3 calls. This will be the first call. Anybody wishing to speak, please approach the podium. Second call, anybody wishing to speak, please approach the podium. Name and address for the record. And third and final call, anybody wishing to speak, approach the podium. Now close the public hearing and move on to item 5, which is consideration of the ordinance amending the comprehensive plan for the city of Oak Creek, adopted March 3rd, 2020, and last amended August 16th, 2022 for the properties at 112, 120, 124, and 140 East Rawson Avenue. Open it up to Councilman Greg.
Just clarification, this was discussed at planning, and it sounds like between city staff and the applicant, this was requested because so many of the businesses that were coming into the building required conditional uses, and it would be more appropriate to go this route. So everything that was coming in there, while still appropriate, it wouldn't require conditional uses every time they came in.
For the most part, that's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Steve?
Just to add on to what Greg said, yeah, it came up with the Superior ambulance too. We realized that everybody, if we didn't make this change, we're just gonna have to keep doing this over and over and over again. So I think thank you for moving so quickly with this, and I think it'll make life a little easier there. And for adding those other properties too, having the foresight to do
It
that.
just makes sense.
Ken?
Thanks, Mayor. Doug, just to clarify, I'm looking at these two pictures, since they're not in color, I just want to clarify, but in fact for entertainment. The 140 East Rawson is the one that's crosshatched here.
It is, that's the actual property
Yeah.
in
All
question.
right, so this is actually, obviously, different property owners. They were notified of the land use change and did
They would have been
receive any
notified.
feedback?
They would have been notified, and no, I've not received any feedback.
And what is the current land use of those properties?
Industrial.
Even though they exhibit much of the same, and actually more service, especially west of.
Yeah, it's certainly, those properties don't set themselves up for industrial use in that configuration.
No comments from anybody?
I've not received any
And
comments.
planning,
all.
Danny, we get anything planning on that?
We had no residents come in, obviously the property owner was in favor of it, and I think between Greg and Doug, they summed it up very well. It really makes for a cleaner zoning. As it's developed and built, the market really started to come forward as to what it truly should be. And that's the strength of the city. We're able to correct the mid-course and zone it properly. So I think it's good move.
Makes sense, I just wanted to make sure what I was looking at.
Mayor, just to
Yes.
add, Ken, nobody contacted me, and I think the one building is where Black Diamond used to be. Now
Yes.
Goodwill was gonna move in, and then they moved to Greendale, so it's been vacant for quite some time there.
Further discussion? Seeing none, motion.
Kirkowski will make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3062, amending the comprehensive plan, City of Oak Creek, adopted March 3rd, 2020, last amended August 16th, 2022, for the properties at 112, 120, 124, and 140 East Rawson Avenue.
Clark seconds.
Roll call.
Alderman Dukniak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
And item 6 is consideration of an ordinance confirming the adoption of the settlement agreement between the City of Oak Creek and Labor Association of Wisconsin, Inc., better known as Law, and fixing the salary for members of the association for the year 2023. Max?
Good evening, Mayor and Common Council. Max Gagan, Assistant City Administrator and Comptroller. Before you tonight is ordinance number 3061, which would adopt a settlement agreement between the City of Oak Creek and the Labor Association of Wisconsin, fixing salaries for 2023. Just for the members' education, the Labor Association of Wisconsin is a non-public safety bargaining unit, the creation of Act 10. These types of bargaining units can only negotiate a wage increase up to the Consumer Price Index each year. And that's established by the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission. That CPI for labor contracts beginning of the year is 7.17%. And what's provided in the settlement agreement is a cost of living of 2.5% at the beginning of the year, so January 1st, 2023. That's consistent with what all other non-representative employees received, as well as what's in the budget. So consistent with what all other employees were afforded. However, one of the things that we also did is some mid-year compensation adjustments for those public works personnel. If we were to look at that as well, this group, from 1 year to the next actually got a lift of about 6.6%. So, we're able to get pretty close to what that CPI is, but again, providing the same cost of living adjustments as the other non-represented employees. You can see on the memorandum, the fiscal impact is about $60,000. This went to the Personnel and Finance Committee on November 9th. Recommended that the Common Council adopt it. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from Matt?
Just on a personnel, Max, I think summed it up pretty well. That overall, it's this 2.5 salary increase, and we did the mid-year rearrangements and classifications of salaries for those staff, and we met very briefly with them. It was very amenable, and the one issue they did bring up is actually further on in the agenda for Matt developed the classifications for job duties and stuff for progressions in the wage scales and comp scales. So that was the only other concern they really expressed. So very amenable discussion, and it was very quickly accepted, and they thought very fair given especially the mid-year comp adjustments on much of their staff. And just to clarify, Steve and Greg and Rich, or at least the two, that the group itself has changed since the last time we did this. Much of the staff that had been previously included in City Hall is not in this group any longer. So that's one nuance that you may not have noticed. So. But that's it. So.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, motion.
I'll move to approve ordinance 3061, confirming adoption of the settlement agreement between the City of Oak Creek and Labor Association of Wisconsin, Inc., and fixing the salary for members of the association for the year 2023.
Marshall will second.
Roll call?
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorick.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
And item 7 is consideration of a motion to concur with mayor appointments to the following boards. Board of Public Works and Capital Assets, Celebrations Commission, and Tourism Commission. So the applications are in hand. If you have any questions, comments, I will take any questions. Yes, Chris.
Mayor Dan, just a quick question on the appointment for Board of Public Works. Is that a replacement for Dale Richards?
Correct.
Okay.
That is the permanent board seat, not the alternate.
Okay, so then Alderman Siebert would still,
Remain as the alternate. He
Okay.
still has his term.
okay, thank you very much for clarifying.
Questions? Okay. Again, before we do the motion, I just want to thank the 3 individuals for stepping up, donating their time and expertise, and serving the city in a capacity that's greatly needed. We really do appreciate it. We had a pool of some really good candidates. We're looking forward to them working with the city and making us just better all the way around. So, with that, motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I appreciate we getting after these appointments. There's been obviously notable absences in some of the boards here, and their experience that these are all very qualified candidates. Their experience would be a welcome addition to the effort. So with that said, I will move to concur with the mayor's appointments as listed.
Guzekowski, will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorick.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 8 is consideration of a motion to approve a marketing services contract with Connect the Dots LLC for the term of January 1, 2023 to December 31, 2024. Did I say December 31? December 31, 2024.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I can
Sorry,
take this
Andrew,
one.
you got this one?
Yeah, no problem. So just a little history here. The city has had a relationship with Gary Billington and his firm Connect the Dots since 2015. We've had a lot of great success with that relationship, and it's morphed a little bit over time, and it's morphing again here in this contract for 23 and 24. But we've had Gary do a number of things and really been successful doing so with success fees and landing and business attraction efforts. Gary also led and really coordinated the business retention program visitations. In sum, Gary lends an extension to our economic development efforts that we simply don't have the resources in the building in-house here to tend to as it should be. Also, just a really unique skill set. I mean, Gary is his firm is very aptly named, and Connect the Dots. Gary is very good about introducing the city to key people for our economic development efforts, getting in the door, making introductions, and some of the things you don't see in the contract or in his work so far. You know, with the relationships made in that business retention program, those 70 or so businesses we visited in the last several years, really prior to COVID, Gary really made a lot of connections with those business owners. So if you made nuts and you needed, and you wanted, if you made this piece of machinery and you needed these nuts, he knew the business down the road, and they at least connected those dots. And little things like that. That's not a real great example, but certainly a lot of value add here in this relationship. And you'll see in this contract moving forward, we've really simplified the success fee, if you will. The monthly retention fee is really similar to what it is this year. I think it's actually like $50 more per month. It's approximately 40 hours a week of work per month, which is appropriate. He manages his time and stays within that. And as you can see, the efforts here are really focusing in on tax increment District 11 and tax increment District 12. So Drexel Town Square and mainly that area of the area south of IKEA that Northwestern Mutual owns, where we're developing that entertainment district concept. So we think that's really appropriate. We're going to be very, very busy with the lakefront the next year, the next 2 years, and this is just a really good extension of our efforts with this contract. I'd be happy to answer any questions or help discussion along.
Questions for Andrew? Okay. Seeing none, motion on 8.
Bill moves to approve the marketing services contract with Connect the Dots LLC for a term of January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2024.
Guzekowski, I'll second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And 9 is Public Works and Utility, and it's consideration of a motion to approve the DPW Employee Progression Plan effective January 1st, 2023. And with us is Matt tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Common Council. Matt Trebetuski, Director of Public Works for the City of Oak Creek. As mentioned previously in the agenda, this is kind of an extension of what the Council and Finance Committee had looked at and approved earlier in the year, middle of the year in June, in looking at the wages and better positioning them to compete in the public sector market and bringing those up to par. And an extension of that, we had let you know that we were going to come back with a plan to also provide a progression for opportunities for advancement within the department that will better serve our employees and really help us with retention and employee satisfaction. Where prior to what we're proposing here tonight, it was a really limited scale that you could climb within the Department of Public Works, and a lot of times you needed to wait until there was a retirement or some kind of departure from the city to be able to make that advancement. And in this sense here, you have the opportunity to make smaller incremental progressions throughout the plan with different experience, credentials, and certifications without someone necessarily having to leave. And that's very attractive to a lot of our employee base, where we have a lot of employees who've been here 5 or 6 years and are highly skilled already, but they don't have an opportunity to get any type of bump up in responsibility and as well as pay. And I think we were very close to potentially having some of them decide to go elsewhere so they could pursue that interest. So at this progression plan we're looking at, we still have essentially 3 different categories of employee classification or job title. However, they do each have 4 progressions within them that you can advance through as you gain experience, certifications, and training with medium, light, and heavy-duty equipment. So I think that's going to be a large factor in us continuing to keep a good workforce and a talented workforce. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding what we put together.
Thank you, Matt. Questions for Matt? Comments?
I think this is an awesome opportunity for our internal DPW people. You've done a great job with it.
Steve?
Yep. I'm not saying anything tonight because I was on the Personnel Finance Committee, so we had an opportunity to ask questions and become very comfortable with what's being presented tonight. So it's a good plan. And Lisa, yeah, it's overdue, and it's nice to see. Thank you.
Andrew?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to add, I really just respect Matt's leadership that he's brought to the Department of Public Works. You've been here a little over a year now, Matt, I think, last November. And it's just really a new day out there, and it's tangible. You can really feel that. And of course, being the guy who brings in the mid-year comp adjustments and the pay progression helps out a little bit with that morale. But, to his credit, he brought that forward and really ushered that through, and did a lot of the number crunching with Max on that. So really looking forward, just appreciate what Matt's doing, and really looking forward to the years to come with our leadership out there.
I myself, my comments are very long overdue. The old system just had no progression whatsoever. You came here, there was no light at the end of the tunnel of where you could wind up, as you said, without somebody else stepping out of the classification. And I think what's really key here, and you summed it up, and it's in the background, and it's the quote, it's very critical as a retention strategy. We do not want our DPW staff to just have a job, but rather a career opportunity with the city. And that's really what we're about at that. We're not just about providing services. We respect our employees as their careers, and applaud you for finding a pathway for those that want to pursue that in DPW. So thank you for that. Anyone else? No further discussion? Motion, please.
Marshall moves to approve the recommendation of the Personnel and Finance Committee to approve the DPW Employee Progression Plan effective January 1st, 2023.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
And item 10 is the License Committee, and I will turn that over to Alderman Kirkowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the contents on tonight's Common Council report. Does anybody have any questions, cares, or concerns? All right, hearing none, Kirkowski make a motion to grant the various license requests as listed on the December 20th, 2022 License Committee report.
Dukenyak, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
And item 11 is our vendor summary, and it's consideration of a motion to approve the December 14th, 2022 vendor summary report in the amount of $478,111.74. So if you'd look at your report, and if there's any questions, feel free to take the floor. And when you're satisfied, there's no questions, comments, motion, please.
So move to approve the December 14th, 2022 vendor summary report in the amount of $478,111.74.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
And item 12 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the payment, bills, debts, and obligations. This concerns payments up till our next meeting, because we will forego the first one in January, and we will not meet till, I believe, the 17th of January after today. Discussions, questions? Motion.
So move to approve resolution 12373-122-022 authorizing payment of bills, debts, and obligations.
Marshall second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
And item 13 is consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State statutes to discuss the following. Section 19.85, sub 1, sub C, sub F and G, to review the settlement agreement for a fire department employee. B, section 19.85, sub 1, sub E, to consider a term sheet regarding tax incremental district number 11, Emerald Row project. And C, section 19.85, sub 1, sub E, to consider the third amendment to the tax increment district number 16, finance development agreement with Ryan Business Park. President Gale?
Thank you, Mayor. Gail moved to convene in the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State statute to discuss the following. A, section 19.85, sub 1, sub C, and F and G, to review a settlement agreement for a fire department employee. B, section 19.85, sub 1, sub E, to consider a term sheet regarding tax incremental district number 11, Emerald Grove project. And C, section 19.85, sub 1, sub E, to consider the third amendment to tax incremental district number 16, finance development agreement with Ryan Business Park.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call?
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
We will now convene into closed session and resume at its conclusion. We will now consider a motion to reconvene into open session.
Thank you, Mayor. Gail moves to reconvene in open session.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call?
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And item 15 is consideration to take action if required.
Thank you, Mayor. Gail move that the Common Council approves the settlement agreement between the City of Oak Creek and Brian Anderson, as well as authorize the city administration to certify Mr. Anderson's duty disability application.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call?
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 16 is consideration of a resolution approving a third amendment to the tax increment District 16 finance development agreement between the City of Oak Creek and Ryan Business Park LLC.
Thank you, Mayor. Gail move to approve Resolution 12374-122022, approving a third amendment to tax incremental district number 16 finance development agreement between the City of Oak Creek and Ryan Business Park LLC.
Marshall, second.
Roll call?
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
And before we adjourn, I'd personally like to thank the council for all the hard work that went on this year, and as well extend that to our staff, which again is really responsible for all the work that goes on around here. It's been a pleasure. It's been a quick year, but a very productive year. And on the floor, aldermen, alderwomen, any words you'd like to express?
Remind us of your progress, I think, here in the city. So much to be proud of, much to be thankful of the staff and everybody else. So have at it. Enjoy the holidays, right?
City staff makes our job easy most of the time, so we appreciate that.
No, I'm just very grateful to be
Okay, with that, on behalf of myself, the entire council, I'd like to wish all the residents of Oak Creek a happy holiday season. Please make it a safe and joyous one. Motion for adjournment, please.
Marshall moves to adjourn.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Dukenyak.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Night all. Thanks.